Mrs. Robinson to the door, the camera stays behind, as if sensing the danger that lies ahead and wanting to observe it from a safe distance. Nichols innovatively causes the sound and picture tracks to diverge in order to communicate a sense of the unnaturalness of what's happening. Although we are visually a long way from that door, the sound here will be very close.
Would you mind walking ahead of me to the sun porch? I feel funny about coming into a dark house.
But it's light in there.
Please.
A technique borrowed from horror, gangster, and detective films is now used to communicate that sense of danger. A tracking shot behind the characters as they walk down a narrow hallway. Notice the black and white striped awning outside the window. There's a virtual jungle outside this room and a devouring carnivore inside this den of iniquity.
Mrs. Robinson, I drove you home. I was glad to do it, but I have some things on my mind. Can you understand that?
Yes.
All right, then.
What do you drink? Benjamin, I'm sorry to be this way, but I don't want to be left alone in this house.
Why not?
Please wait till my husband gets home.
When is he coming back?
I don't know. Drink?
No.
He refuses the drink. She gives it to him anyway, and he takes it.
Much afraid of being alone?
Such details are important. And here's another. Notice Hoffman's subtle gesture as Mrs. Robinson lights her third cigarette. And his reaction to one of the great music cues in contemporary film.
May I ask you a question? What do you think of me?
What do you mean?
You've known me nearly all your life. You must have formed some opinion of me.
Well, I always thought that you were a very nice person.
Nichols gave Hoffman an exquisite bit of business.
Did you know
Listen to this little sound he makes when he feels trapped.
What?
Did you know that?
Look, I think I should be going.
Notice that the black and white striped awning in the back is perfectly coordinated with the zebra on the bottom right of your screen, and with Ben's black and white striped tie, as well as with other elements that you will see later in this film.
Several hours.
Oh, my God.
The camera dollies back, deliberately putting Mrs. Robinson out of focus and plunging Ben into the shadows of his own fears, a device Nichols will use frequently in the film.
I mean, you didn't really think I'd do something like that.
Like what?
What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
For God's sake, Mrs. Robinson. Here we are. You got me into your house. You give me a drink. You put on music. Now you start opening up your personal life to me and tell me your husband won't be home for hours.
So?
This shot
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
is the most famous image in the film, for good reason.
Aren't you?
The shot encapsulates their relationship, the sexually aggressive older woman and the gullible young man who knows what's going on, but doesn't know how to handle it, or if he wants to handle it. Our two main characters are on extreme opposite sides of the frame, leaving the center out of focus and empty, like their relationship, visually creating a distance between them that can never be breached.
What is wrong with me?
Have you ever seen Elaine's portrait?
Her portrait?
Yes.
No.
We had it done last Christmas. Would you like to see it?
Very much.
This seduction scene invariably has audiences howling, even though the consummation is still 25 minutes ahead.
Elaine certainly is an attractive girl, isn't she?
We should note that from the very beginning, Elaine, through her portrait, is the basis of the bait-and-switch game Mrs. Robinson is playing.
Will you come over here a minute?
As the camera rises and pans, we have another skillful use of screen composition. Mrs. Robinson and Benjamin are partly in shadow, while Elaine's brightly lit shrine is centered between them to form a triangle.
I think I'll go to bed.
Oh, well, good night.
You'll recall the jungle downstairs in which Mrs. Robinson began exposing herself, at least psychologically, to Benjamin. Now, as she physically exposes herself, it is perfectly in keeping with her character that what she should be wearing under that silky black tiger-striped dress would be
Thank you.
a bra and slip, patterned after the Queen of the Jungle,
I'm not scared.
a leopard.
And why do you...
Sigmund Freud wrote that the most important requirements for maturity were the ability to love and the ability to work. In an astonishing number of the most popular films, the protagonist can do one but not the other. And the lesson that he or she frequently learns in such films is how to do both.
Of course he does.
Ben has been successful as long as he's been engaged in work at school, but he's never learned how to love. That lesson will be Ben's postgraduate education.
But please, Mrs. Robinson, this is difficult.
Would you like me to seduce you?